It is a Friday and it is Podcast Friday. It is here. Welcome to the Sport Night Amplified. My name is Brian Mofageng, in for Andile Ncube. I'm not Andile at all. So just to make sure everybody's thinking, Andile was such a deep voice. It is Friday. Thank you very much to Kyorape here with the news and a touchdown team. Really held things down beautifully. So, you know the song that he played? This is how you do. Remember the song, Nadim?
Yeah.
Nadim doesn't know such stuff, you know. Snap back, lean back. It's back again on Monday between 3 and 6 on the Metro FM. This is where you want to be. Time it has gone now, 7 minutes after 6 o'clock. And today, being as Friday, it's all about podcast. It's all about reaction for all the stuff that happened throughout the week, by the way. So, what's coming up on the show today? Oh no, the team is here. Nadim, to my left. He called himself the Peacemaker. Not too sure about that. Not too sure about that.
That's the best introduction, Brian. It means, I am a peacemaker. So that sometimes people, they don't want to hear. You say things that are there, then they say you are too harsh or you hammer people. You don't. You just say what is there.
Okay. Yeah. From a peacemaker to Bisto. Snap it, guy.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Good evening, Brian, and good evening to all the listeners. Looking forward to the show today.
Yeah, my partner in crime in most of the times, but when we do good things. Mark?
Yeah, we do good things.
Good things. Yeah. There's no story.
Trouble starters.
No, you're not. Absolutely none whatsoever. So let's really go through the stories for today. Do remember you can get hold of us. That is 086 000 2160. Let's have a conversation. It's an open one. Let's just really have fun and talk about everything that's coming up. 060, that is 552 7303. That is 060 552 7303. And let's now start it off from the top. Last week, Sunday, Nabi eventually played his first game in South Africa. Then they played against Yanga. And Yanga hit 4 against Kaizer Chiefs. All right? So, after the game, Nabi comes and talks about some of the things. One of the things he said that some of the players that are sitting at the team shouldn't be there. That's just what la reset.
Vous savez quoi? Parce que le club, malheureusement, on a fait des erreurs les années passées dans le recrutement. Et pour éviter ces erreurs-là, on doit être très attentif, très prudent et très précis.
The club has made some errors in signing players that were not needed, that were not the quality of Kaizer Chiefs. We need to be very careful how we choose our players, what players we choose, what caliber, what kind of players we put on the field to meet the expectations.
Guys, he says that some players are there. You know, so sometimes when you're trying to watch something on your telly or using your laptop and an error message comes up. Nadim, let's start with you.
You know what? I agree with that. It's because like people, they don't take it in a positive way when you say Kaizer Chiefs players that are there are not Kaizer Chiefs material. We've been saying that for a while, but it looks like now we're against the management, we're against everyone at Kaizer Chiefs. But it's what we see. And the fact that they are not even in the top 10, in the top 8 of the league. Tomorrow it is the top 8. Kaizer Chiefs' name is not there for obvious reasons. They failed to make the top 8. The players that are there, you can't say it's Kaizer Chiefs material. Last week I did actually raise the same thing, that it surprised me when you see Kaizer Chiefs people are announcing a jersey instead of announcing quality players who are going to improve their team. Then the following day, 48 hours later, they got hammered 4-0 by Yanga FC. That just shows that this team has not improved from what they were. The coach is telling the truth, but obvious people will say he's making excuses. It's just saying what is there, what you've been repeating. So he's saying it better because it's there. He can assess it better. That's the problem with Kaizer Chiefs. They will need to get very, very good players, but not. I don't see any local players that they can get that can improve the team. They need to go out, just like Pirates went to Angola and get Gilberto. Otherwise, they will just struggle the way things are.
One thing for sure, I mean, Mark, the good news is that they're not playing at the moment, so in the MTN8. So therefore, they have a bit of a month or so to prepare themselves for the league that comes up. So that's some good news. I'm positive out of that. Do you believe that they don't have quality in Chiefs at all? Or some players?
Yeah, I think they don't have quality in depth. Definitely not. I don't think, when you look at the squad composition, I don't think it's the type of squad that's going to challenge for the league title especially. And yeah, certainly I think there are shortcomings in that regard. And so when you look at it, I know we'll probably discuss it later, but I've always said there's certain players that Chiefs have let get away from them. For me, one big one was Sipho Mbule. I think that's the type of player you go and break the bank for. And, it's just those kind of players Chiefs have unfortunately let slip through their fingers. Now we just heard of another signing that I feel they probably let slip through their fingers a quality player and the type of player that would definitely improve Kaizer Chiefs in Elias Mokwana. You look at the national team players, someone like Oswan Apollos. For me, that should have been a done deal already. There's so much talk. Is he going? Is he not going? Then there's talk about him possibly going to an Esperance. There's always these rumors and stuff. But when you look at the quality, there are quality players, I believe. Nadim, you say they have to go outside. Those are just two players I think we mentioned are both Bafana players. And if I'm not mistaken, they're both available. They're there to be, to be bought.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it's something that they've tried to do. Why it's not working, I don't know. We're not in the boardrooms. We're not part of the negotiations. I'm not sure why these things are not happening. But there are quality players. There are quality South African players. And I think in the ilk of Kaizer Chiefs, that would strengthen Kaizer Chiefs. But unfortunately, it's just not happening. And I don't know why it isn't.
So, Snaps, you know what? One of my neighbors is a Kaizer Chiefs fan. He said to me, Ashwin Apollos must not come to Chiefs. I say, why? That's the man that knocked us out of the top 8. I'm joking. Let's check. What do you think of that?
But, as a fan, that's the first player that you're supposed to want to sign. A player that knocked you out.
Yeah.
But there's so much truth in what Unapi has said, Brian. You look at Chiefs, the last few windows that they've had. The bulk of their squad right now is players that were signed either in 2022 or 2023.
Yeah.
In 2021, I think the only player that's left from whoever they signed at that time is probably Brendan Peterson, who's left in that squad. The makeup of their squad there's about 7 players that are under the age of 23. You've got a lot of players that everybody is already saying are not Chiefs material. These are players that were signed a year or 2 ago. So that speaks to your transfer policy already, that players that were signed a year ago are already not good enough for you. So what's your continuity with your signings? A lot of the players have to be moved on at this point. Even players that they signed in those last two transfer windows, which is this last season, are already being spoken of as not being good enough for Chiefs moving forward. You look at who they are signing right now. They made the right acquisition with the coach. They got a coach that has achieved a lot on the African continent, a coach that came with higher claim. But you look at the transfer window besides the coaching. You're looking at Dotley, who they signed from Cape Town Spurs, a team that's relegated. You're looking at them right now being linked with Uvelebai, a player that also is coming from a Cape Town Spurs that got relegated. You're looking at Fiacre Ntwari that they signed from TS Galaxy, not the best goalkeeper in the league. So you're looking at a Chiefs team that is still in this window making the same mistakes that they've been making in the past few windows, where you're signing players that are firstly not at the Bafana level yet. Players that at their teams are probably not the best players in the league already. But you're signing those players into your team, and those are your main signings at the moment. You're looking at now, even with the Gaston Sereno that they've reportedly signed, a player that hasn't played that much football in the last year. Quality player, yes, but a player that hasn't played so much football in the last year. You're looking at a Bongani Sam that they reportedly are linked with from Pirates. He hasn't been officially presented yet, but a player that hasn't played that much football also. So it's something that has been going on for a few years, and unfortunately, it's still happening.
But Bisol will come in and say, for an example, if you're talking about Gaston Sereno, one of the reasons why he never played at Sundowns was because he was deemed surplus to requirement. He wanted out, and the team kept him there because he was still under contract. So eventually, he's a man that's available. He's 33 years old. That's a big thing. Let's hear what he has to say about Gaston Sereno.
Looking at the names you've given me, yes, they are part of the large list that we have put together and that we're busy looking at. For a case like Sereno, yes, he's a very well-experienced player. We definitely want to look at him. The thing is, we want to see if he's physically, if he is ready, and he will add a plus into our philosophy of the year.
Yes, indeed. Talking about Gaston Sereno there, that's the man he's 33 years old, Nadim. Mark, he comes in as a Chiefs player, supposedly at the moment. So that's a player we're looking at. You spoke about quality. He's a quality player. At 33, is he the right man at the moment for the Amakosi?
It's not, because look, it's not been playing at Sundowns because of whatever reasons with him and the coach, then Rulane. He wanted to go to Al Ahly. He couldn't go. So he was under contract, then he couldn't be released. I honestly feel that they're making the same mistakes they did when just like signing Dolly when he came back from overseas injured, just like signing Castro from Sundowns, signing Kama Billiant. These Sundowns players, look at what happened with Kevin 20 John Pirates from Sundowns. It was no longer the same guy. I don't think it helps players to go to Sundowns and sit on the bench, then they go and join the big teams. It doesn't really help. Unless someone give me a clear example where it has worked. I remember Oprim when he was at Cape Town City, he was brilliant. Then he went to Sundowns. From there, what happened to him? People are not. I don't even know where he is. So that's how that has been. It doesn't really help to sign players who've been sitting on a bench for too long at Sundowns. Then you think these players will now come as a solution. Sereno, there's a reason why he was not signed. He didn't undergo any preseason. He was just sitting at home. Maybe going to the gym and training. Now we think it's going to be a solution of Chiefs. For me, I don't think they're just learning from their previous mistakes.
Mark?
Yeah, I think it's also going to be unfair to, like, when you look at someone like Sereno coming into the squad that Chiefs currently have, how good is he going to be under those, like, playing with the players around him? A big part of why he was the player that he was at Sundowns is also because of the quality of players around him.
Yeah.
And, I think it's going to be asking a lot of him to now come and be, the savior of a team or whatever the case may be. I do believe, and we spoke about it last week, when you look at the quality that he possesses, I think he definitely will add value in that regard. But how effective he will be, when you look at the squad around him, he's not the Sereno that came and lit up the league. I don't think he's going to be the same player he was that we knew at the height of his play at Sundowns. And so it's a tough one. But the reality is, we're speaking and we were saying, Coach Nabi's lamenting the fact that there's not a great amount of quality within the squad. Is he better than what they have? Probably. And so, does he add value in that regard? He is, because especially in that number 10 position, does Chiefs have a number 10 that excites you, that you can say, no, this guy can, in a moment of brilliance, turn the game for them? I don't think they quite have that right now. And so then from that perspective, it's a good signing. But he does need players around him to complement him. And so that's why, it could work or, might not work as well.
It's indeed, Piso?
Just to add on to that, totally agree. Quality player. And we've seen the best of Sereno in the league. I mean, 2018-19 was his best season probably, where he got 5 goals and 8 assists in the league. It's been a long time though, since 2018-19. In the years coming after that, he hasn't really scored or assisted as much. Still a quality player. You can still see whenever he's on the field, you can see the quality that he has. But like Mark said, the quality around you allows you to show your best. And I don't think he has the quality around him at Chiefs at the moment.
I'm going to ask you a question. There are certain players who are BMT, who have their BMT. Sereno, whenever he's been called upon, when the chips are down for Sundowns, always, most of the time, delivered for them on a field of play. Maybe they need something like that, because in some matches where Chiefs could have just wrapped up matches, they're unable to do so. They didn't have the player that can be able to do that. Maybe it's a discussion each year for another day. But the message going out to the fans. The fans are always wanting something. It's been 9 years without a trophy at the Amakosi. This is what the coach has to say to the fans.
The team still does need certain players in certain positions that will meet the expectations of Kaizer Chiefs and of the fans. The fans also need to know that this is not a quick transformation of the club to be strong and to have the quality play.
Fans now need to understand that patience is needed. How long is patient? Let's start. Mark, I want to start with you. As a new coach, you arrive in a team, you go with them to take care for 3 weeks. You therefore play 2 friendly matches, or practice matches they call, and then you win 5-2. The other one is a draw. You come back home, and then you play your first game in front of a packed capacity crowd. Do remember, Chiefs on a good day, that's the numbers they bring to the stadium. So you play there, and jitters come up. The young players you brought into the squad make mistake, you get walloped 4-0 by a formidable team. Younger, by the way, is not just any pushovers.
Yeah.
It is one of the best teams we have on the continent. How long do you give a new coach, when you arrive at a team?
The thing is, for me, when you look at a coach and when he comes in and implements his philosophy, whatever the case may be, it's about seeing progress. As soon as you see progress, like gradually, even now we start on, maybe this is the best start that the coach could have hoped for.
Yeah.
Because now the expectations are not through the roof. Like a lot of times, that happens where you sign a great coach or a good coach, and automatically now, they expect wonders to happen immediately.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the best thing that could have happened, where there's a reality check where we're saying, okay, we're actually a long way off from where we need to be. And so now you want to see gradual progress. The first important thing, the coach is not happy with the composition of the squad. So that needs to be rectified.
Yeah.
That's going to take time. And it's pointless just going out and buying everyone you need to make sure everyone that comes in compliments and the coach and the coach's philosophy, exactly what he wants. If the coach is given all the tools that he needs, and then you can see progress steadily. The team gets better and better and better. And I think it would be unrealistic to expect trophies automatically after a barren spell of 9-10 years to automatically expect trophies. I don't think that's realistic. And so as long as the team is progressing and the team is getting better week after week, for me, that's what would really be the success story.
Tell you one thing for sure, 23 minutes after 6 o'clock, there is a Mighty Metro FM, and this is Podcast Friday. The gentlemen are just heating up. Nadeem, one thing for sure, people always talk about coaches, what they need, and coaches what they need to have in a team. Nabi has his technical team that he brought in himself. Now, he has seen the players that he has at a team. Mark just broke down the story around the patience you need, how you need to get things going. When you look at it from a Nadeem point of view, I know you are all about numbers and about stats and facts and research. How long do you give him to really settle into a team?
I don't know if I can give him anything. I can't give him anything. I don't even think. Look, the guy is not telling the truth. One, Nabi was at Yanga for 2 years and won 4 trophies.
Yeah,
and then he was at FAR Rabat in Morocco. He nearly won the league. He just lost it in the last game, and also the cup. He lost it in the final. So
and they lost it to the same team.
Exactly. Where did he get the time? Where is the coach? Because in the last few years, he's at Kaizer Chiefs because of he did well at Yanga, where he won 4 trophies. There was no time. There was no patience. He immediately came in. He won the league. Then the second season, he won the league. He took the team to the CAF Confederations Cup final immediately. But now he's making excuse because he can see clearly that he's not going to be successful at Chiefs. He's trying to buy time. That defense mustn't throw things at him at FNP. He's trying to build something that is not there.
Nadeem,
but
not
wait,
just arrived.
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Look at in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He has been, because the Chiefs hired him for a particular reason. They want immediate success from him.
Yeah.
Because you know what he did at Yanga. Yanga have not won a trophy for 5 years when he took over.
Yeah.
But immediately came in, he won the league. He won 2 trophies. And understand?
Yeah.
And then he also won a cup. Then immediately went to Morocco, of which you can say it's a success. He was a runners-up, and then he lost in a final. You can call that a success, even though there wasn't a trophy.
Yeah.
At Kaizer Chiefs, now he's talking about patience and all those kind of things. I think it's just an excuse. He insists that the Kaizer Chiefs is telling the truth when he says there's no quality material. He doesn't see Kaizer Chiefs himself being successful with the current things. Maybe he can see that he needs to overhaul the whole squad. That's why I'm just saying he's not telling the truth when he says in his time, because at Yanga there wasn't a time. He was an instant success. In Morocco, you can see the team was really, really good. He pushed Zimbawa's team all the way up until the last game of the season, and also in the cup finale. That's why he lost by narrow. So at Kaizer Chiefs, we've been saying the same thing. The Kaizer Chiefs managers have been signing the wrong team. They've been signing players who are not Kaizer Chiefs material. The coaches confirmed that. So now he's trying to just be patient with the coaches, because you see the fans were worried when they lost 4-0 last week.
Piso, I want to bring you in. Remember, Nabi was supposed to come to Chiefs last season.
Yes.
At some stage.
Yes.
Because he wanted to come with the entire team. They didn't want to bring him with the entire entourage.
Yes.
Eventually, that deal didn't go as planned. He therefore went to FAR Rabat. He didn't really have a preseason with FAR Rabat. He arrived there, had to hit the ground running immediately to get things going.
Exactly.
The fact that he finished just a point behind the champions, which is Raja Casablanca, the fact that he got into a final and eventually lost that final, surely it shows the quality that he is as a coach from that point of view. So when you look at back and say, did Kaizer Chiefs make a mistake by not bringing him in the time when he wanted to come in? Or was it one of those where you had to wait for everything to literally fall apart and therefore bring somebody to start over?
I think the mistake that Chiefs made was back then, a year ago, when they didn't bring him in. Because at that time, you feel like if he had gotten this year
Yeah.
to try and get to this point now, he would have done so by now, knowing the players that he can use going forward, knowing the young players that he needs to keep,
Yep.
knowing who to let go of.
Okay.
Now they're bringing him in. Yes, perfect time. Okay, cool. The season is starting. They brought him in at the right time, but they've spent a month or so with him now. They haven't made any quality signings.
Okay.
You're expecting him to pull a Rapid out of the head at this point and win you titles with a squad that from the last season we already saw was not good enough. The best thing that happened to Kaizer Chiefs in this transfer window was that game against Yanga, because I think it showed them the reality of where their squad is at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, we watched that game. The gulf in quality was... It was a lot.
But Mark did say that, when you look at the depth on the bench, they don't really have much of that when you talk about the way they play, Kaizer Chiefs in particular. But I want to bring something back and say, okay, we're talking about where they are, what they need to bring in, who they need to bring in, and what they need to sort out as a team. Don't you think now, for an example, last season, the fans would have been slightly more patient had he been brought in at that stage last season?
I don't think so. This team has been worse for a while now. If you look at... No, honestly speaking, last year they signed 12 players.
Yeah.
And so now again they've signed 4 players.
Yeah.
And all the players that you're signing, you can just say they're not Kaizer Chiefs material. I don't think it matters. As you said, rightfully so, at Far Rapat, he didn't even have a preseason. He started and was going from the start.
Yeah.
So he didn't ask for patience. Why is he asking patience when he joins Kaizer Chiefs?
Can I ask you a question?
But those teams, when you look at those teams where he joined, when he joined Yanga, where
Yeah.
were they? Were they in 10th position on the log?
No,
Or when he joined Raja or Farah, were they in 10th position?
No, they were not actually.
So they were competing, right? They were
Already
already
sitting, yeah.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he came and added
Yeah,
an extra
that's true.
dimension to
Yeah.
make them more competitive.
Yeah.
And so it was a quality squad that he was improving. Do you understand? So, but now you're coming into a team that finished 10th on the log. It's a team that hasn't reached a cup final. Last season they got beat in the Nedbank Cup by Milford. A team in the NFD
Yeah.
that was in the relegation places. That's the reality of what he's
And
coming
Cape Town
into.
Spurs did just a final nail right at the end of the season as well. But then the question I'm going to ask now is to say, given what you guys are saying, all right, who released the players they released? Who signed those that came in?
I doubt
Any
it's him.
takers?
I doubt it's him because I can't imagine that he would have known a Velebai. I doubt that he would have known a Dodley. I doubt that he would have known a Fiacre Ntwari. I doubt those are signings that him and his technical team recommended. Those are the signings they have at the moment. The only one that we've heard him speak about so far is Gaston Sereno, which is in the last couple of days, and they've gotten Gaston Sereno in. They are a far way away from getting the signings that they need for him to do what they need him to do. At the moment, I don't think he's fully in control yet of who they've let go of and who they've brought in.
Which are the quality players that you guys are thinking of? When you say they need to bring some quality players. If you were to think quality players, who can you think of and say, if I were to sit down and put down a wish list for Chiefs, these are the players I'd want to see at Chiefs?
One of them for me is Aziz. You saw him from Yanga. They need
Aziz Ki, yeah.
They need to think like that. It's not like buying 12 players. They can add 2 or 3 players who are quality, but they can make an instant impact. They need quality now.
Yeah.
They can't now keep on signing a player just like Sereno, just like Bongansem. You can see those are strange signings. Are not signings where you can feel like Kaizer Chiefs will go back to their glorious days because they've signed Bongansem or Gaston Sereno. For me, they have not done. They're not doing well. That's why I said locally there are no players that can improve Kaizer Chiefs instantly. They just need to go out, just like Sundowns have been doing, just like Orlando Pirates have been doing. That's where they need to go and get quality players across Africa, because they are. With local players, it's going to be so difficult. That's how I see it. And when it's time to signing, I don't believe a coach should be now making a decision where he signs and release players. He needs to do that with the reference of the management team, because coaches have a tendency of signing players from where their agent are and all those kind of things. Anyways, all over the world, it doesn't happen that the coach decides who comes and goes. That thing is not happening anyway.
It is indeed hashtag Podcast Friday. Nadeem is heated. He says there's no time for patience. We just need to hit the grass running immediately. You want results now. No kusasa baba. 086 000 2160. Do join the conversation. 060 552 7303. On the other side of those, you continue, because I tell you, for the first time in the longest of time I've covered football, I've seen more movement in a technical department than players.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM.
Humulemo, Grant Kekano's here. Trying to get Grant on Wi-Fi because I'm not data. And we know the salaries are Sundowns, but I'm not data. Wanted to speak to Tashreeq for a very long time. His Matthews is in the building. You're a lot smaller than I imagined.
I've never been tall, so...
I mean, you spent your entire life till now in Europe.
I wouldn't say my entire life, but most of it.
The most of it.
Yeah.
Was it ever a problem?
No, I don't think.
So that's just a myth that we tell ourselves.
I did get a few times where they had to say, yeah, you have to bulk up a bit and things, but I had nutritionist, specialist and gym and things, but it's my body just it's not accepting it.
6 to 7 p.m. Podcast Friday on Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Powered by SABC Sport.
It is hashtag SNAWA. That is where we are sitting at. I tell you, at the moment, things are heating up. I need to get off. Maybe I just need to drop my jacket as well because, the way things are going at the moment. By the way, it all starts tomorrow. The MTN8. Do catch the action live. That is on SABC One, and also do get the app of SABC Plus because that's where everything is sitting. From talking radio, TV, SABC Sport itself is all on there. 5:30 will be the build-up to the game at 6 p.m. on SABC One live. It is the defending champions. Can Pirates go all the way to make it 3 in a row? All Super Sport with so many former Pirates players. I was looking at the squad of Super Sport United, I had a chat yesterday with Stan Matthews. He was telling me that, I'm happy to because Hlachwaya is good to play. Pule is good to play. Love is good to play. So just to mention a few of those that are available.
But it goes the other way as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
Super Sport.
Yeah, Super Sport is also going to be saying, oops, by the way, Rastebuch has gone across, but just got in there. Talente became one of those. And then Tito is also part of the team there. So it's a lot to talk about. Now, I was mentioning the fact that we have so many changes in the technical department. Dylan Kerr arrived about a month ago. And then we arrived at the airport. He was saying maybe there'll be another tattoo that's going to say Marumo Gallants to the power 2 because he always comes up with tattoos when he comes into the country. After massive fanfare that he's reunited Marumo Gallants, boom, Monday comes. Dylan Kerr say, icon. This doesn't work.
Where in the world do you see co-coaches? You tell me any country in the world, Premier League country in the world that does co-coaches. Maybe I'm misjudged. I don't know. I don't see England having co-coaches. I don't see Spain having co-coaches. But like I said, it's not my job to question, the chairman. It's his decision. I respect that. It was my decision. He respects that.
Dylan Kerr. Now, Marumo Gallants decide, okay, coach, you have arrived. Everything is nice. You have just had a mini training session with the players. But you know what? There's something was introduced into your called core coaches. We want you to do the same thing. And he says, icon.
Yeah, you know what? This bad habit of coaches started at Sundowns.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist anyway. So it's actually wrong because if you look, when a team is losing, when it's winning, who do we give credit to?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Pirates tried it with Fadu Davids and Mangoba. Mandla. It didn't work even at Pirates. Sure, they lost in the final CAF Confederations Cup final. I feel sorry for Marumo Gallants because the way I see it, immediately you hire Den Malesela, you are fighting for relegation instantly.
Oh,
that's how I see. With Dylan Kerr, last week I even said they might even make the top 8, but immediately bring in Den Malesela. He's the reason the team got relegated 2 seasons ago. They struggled so badly under him. That's why they actually released him and replaced with Dylan Kerr. I honestly don't understand. I'm starting to not understand these club owners who come and buy teams. What do they think? Do they want to stay in the PSL or what? Because if you look at, you hire Dylan Kerr because you know that he's a kind of a guy who nearly make you escape relegation. He's a proven coach who has done well locally. Then you bring in Den Malesela, a guy that has really struggled in the league. Of course, he did well with when he won the trophy with TX Galaxy, but he's not the kind of
go back there.
I mean, it was in the NFT.
Yeah.
But you ask yourself, what is it that the president of Marumo Gallants felt now it doesn't? Dylan Kerr needs assistance of Malesela. I'm disappointed with that decision. I don't think it's going to work for them. They're just fighting relegation from the word go now.
Mark?
Yeah, again, I'm also of the mind there has to be a head coach. I think someone has to have the final say.
Yeah.
So, I definitely agree with Dylan Kerr in terms of his stance that he took, especially when you've brought him back, and said, look, we need you to help us going forward. And then all of a sudden you introduce a new idea where, okay, now we're going to bring someone in to work alongside you. It's one thing giving, appointing an assistant coach, but then to appoint a co-coach, someone that's now going to come. And if it's two guys that have been coming a long way together, that have the same mindset, that think the same, and you say, okay, guys, let's work together as co-coaches, that's one thing. But now to almost introduce me to someone, I don't know, I'm not sure if they said who the co-coach would be, but to introduce me to someone that might have different ideas to what I have, it's just we're going to clash all the time. So I want to do one thing. So I'm telling the players to do one thing, and then you telling the players to do another thing. It can't happen like that. And it just causes chaos. It causes confusion. And so I can understand why Dylan Kerr didn't want his name, I guess, attached to something like that.
37 minutes after 6 o'clock, we are still chatting Podcast Friday. It is indeed. Biso, your take on that, on a co-coaching story?
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We've seen it tried so many times. But I think the one thing to note about it is that everywhere where it's been tried, eventually someone goes above everybody else and becomes the coach. Exactly. Yeah. So there's always infighting. There's always that. But it's something it's not new to South African football. I mean, back in the day, I think it was 2006 when I was still a spring chicken. We saw it with Neil Tovey and Miguel Gamondi. Yep. By the beginning of the next season,
and DK at Kaizer Chiefs also.
Exactly. Yeah. Beginning of the next season, they were gone. We saw it with Umanqoba, Rulani, and Steve also as the assistant or whatever. But eventually, Manqoba went on to become the head coach, basically. And then he was demoted, and then Rulani became the head coach. So it's something that has been experimented with a lot, but doesn't really work. The interesting thing for me with this particular situation is that Dan Malisela left Royal AM because of a situation like this with Cabo Zondo and Ndeo, where when he left, he cited the fact that he didn't feel like he was comfortable with the situation because he wasn't able to instill his style of play in the team because you've got other coaches that you have to accommodate in those decisions. So it's a little surprising for me that he comes back into a situation where he's being introduced to Dylan Kerr as this is your co-coach. I would love to know whether or not that was something that he agreed to, and if he had a change of heart, why he had a change of heart with it. But to be honest, the co-coaching thing doesn't really work.
You just said something. You said that Sundowns had Manqoba Mngqithi, they also had Rulana Mokoena and Steve Kompela, assistant coach or something. What is that something? I want to know the something that you
we get different distinctions. We get different distinctions of these coaching roles. There's a senior coach at times. There's a first team coach. There's an assistant coach. You never really know what the setup is. I mean, right now Romain Folz is back. Steve Kompela is there. Manqoba Mngqithi is there. We're not really sure what the roles are. I mean, it looks like Manqoba Mngqithi is the head coach at the moment, but even there hasn't been that much clarity with it. So it's very confusing to know who the players have to follow because all three coaches you'll find have different styles of play.
Tommy, let's go now. There is 20 minutes before we get to top of the hour. One thing for sure I can tell you, the MTN8 prize money has been increased to 10 million rand. But what has not changed is that you can still catch the action live for free. Gomso. At 5:30, the build up to that game.
Maybe they should have increased it to 10 teams also in the PSL.
You're in the top 10 now, not top 8.
Yeah, it's 10 million top 10. We're going to see other teams that didn't make the top 8.
So every loser gets $1 million instead of 800,000. Okay, I see where you're going with that. So the MTN8 match between Orlando Pirates and the SuperSport United will be live and available on SABC Plus, free at no charge. Tomorrow at 5:30 is the build-up to the game, kicking off at 6 p.m. at Orlando Stadium. SABC 1, that's where the game will be live as well, by the way. So do join the fun. Can they make it 3 in a row? Or will SuperSport United? I'll give you the numbers of SuperSport United and Pirates, especially now. It's very interesting numbers, I tell you, Munadim. But before that, Andile Zungu of AmaZulu. Another very interesting, that is boss, chairperson. Spoke about Pablo Martin on a material that not suit his style up front at AmaZulu.
We lost Bongenkosi Ntuli and Victor Letswalo. The coach's said explicitly to me, you love Victor Letswalo. Great South African, but he is not in our plans. Therefore, Pablo Franco Martin Ncube, didn't have the material that was suited to his style of play.
He's indeed a big one, I've got to say. There's some of the things that are coming up. Your take there with the Andile Zulu coming out and talking about some of the stuff in AmaZulu?
You know what? It's one of those teams. I used to say AmaZulu have one of the best strikers. If you look at Kwem, Dion, then again Victor Letswalo, they had 3 out-and-out strikers. Obviously, Bongintulu was still there when the season is starting. 4. It's just a president, a good owner who's making an excuse for his coach that has failed. Because remember, when he introduced him last season, he said he's GMP, is the kind of a guy who's going to change the league. He didn't say all these excuses that he's bringing now. So now AmaZulu failed to make the top 8. So it's just a way of like trying to say, okay, I want to keep my guy. Hopefully next season is going to do well. Of which where the coach is, he did well in Tanzania. Remember, even won a trophy. He has been at Real Madrid as one of the assistant coaches. He's an experienced coach, but at AmaZulu didn't do well. Maybe this is a way of a coach saying, I'm not the same guy who fired Benny McCarthy after finishing number 2 and become a coach of the season. Even if you are not out of the top 8, I'm still going to give you a benefit of doubt and going to try and find a way to make an excuse why you didn't do well. Because with Benny McCarthy, there wasn't such talk. He was very clear that Benny McCarthy, he sees that that team was not going to be in the top 4. Anyone who coaches AmaZulu must be prepared to be in the top 4. It's the same Mr. Andile Zungu who said the same thing. But now the changes. No, he's a good guy. The team, the trial. I mean, okay, it's one of those things. But AmaZulu really, you can say one will say they had one of the best squad last season.
What he said is that whenever he wants, by the time AmaZulu 100 years, they should be having a league title at AmaZulu. That's something that he said he wants to achieve before they get to the 100 years. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think, it's important as a coach. I'm going to speak with my coaches at now that, wherever you are, that you feel like the owners back you. That they believe in you, believe in what you want to do. So from a coach's perspective, it's now also putting the ball firmly in his court and saying, okay, maybe, what you say that what you had wasn't, for your style or for the way you want to play. Hopefully now they've given him exactly what he's needed. And so now he can be judged firmly on that. And so I think it's also a way of putting the ball straight in the coach's corner and say, okay, maybe we didn't give you what you feel you needed to succeed. Now that we've done that, let's see what happens. So I think going into the season now, the coach has to, come to the fore now, and he has to kind of prove himself. Obviously, we see, I think it is Iguodaro now up front. Is that the type of player that the coach wants up front? I'm sure the coach would have seen him at SuperSport, and so he believes that he can do the business. And so now he can be judged based on the players that he has, because that's probably what he requested.
Let's now look at some of the transfer news. I mean, Les Mokwana, player that is now at ES Tunis, one of the players to talk about. Biso, a very interesting move there, man. I'm saying Elias Mokwana had a wonderful season at his team before eventually making his moves. Kukune, for me, we're one of a team to watch when you look at the way he played. His debut Bafana was something to behold.
A very impressive debut, Brian. It's when you asked earlier which players should Kaizer Chiefs be looking at, that's one of the players that would come to mind. A player that they should have really gone as far as they could for. A player that's a Bafana International. Very good move for him. I mean, he's moving to an ES Tunis. I think they're going to the Club World Cup also. They are champions in Tunisia, so it's a good club that will give him the exposure that he needs. At his age also to really improve his game, and it will plow back into Bafana eventually. It's a little sad though for me to see him going there, because we saw the links with Apolis. I can only imagine how he feels. He had the links, and it looks like Mpulukwane City were not really open to letting him go. And now you're watching your teammate at Bafana being signed by the same team, and going to get that opportunity that you would have had. But for Elias Mokwana himself, it's a brilliant opportunity, and we wish him all the best in Tunisia.
May now also heading to the north as well. Ladies are talking about May. A lot of people are saying that he might be signed by somebody else here, but looks like the north might be where he's going to.
Who? Apolis?
May.
Mayo.
Sorry, Mayo.
Yeah. It's already.
So how to say May?
Yeah. I was asking.
What month is this?
It's August.
Mayo going. I mean, Mayo, for me, when Eric Tinkler was talking about it, he said, there's nothing much they can do about it from that player. But Mayo, when he came to the second part of the season, was not the same player. So that move, let's talk about that move.
Yeah, it's. I think beginning of the season, I remember we spoke about him towards the end of last year and the numbers that he was getting. And, I think he was much affected by what happened. I think it's the last transfer window or the one before that, where he was touted to be moving away from Cape Town City to one of the big teams in Gauteng. And that didn't happen. That affects a player, especially as a striker. You think that you're good enough to play at these teams. You don't get that move.
Yeah.
And psychologically, that can affect you. And whatever affects you psychologically can transfer to the field also.
Yeah.
It's good though that his quality still shine through for a Cape Town City. I mean, you watch their games, you could still see the quality is there, even though he didn't get as many goals as he got last season, but you could still see the quality. So hopefully he also goes there and flies the South African flag.
Who put him out to be coming to Gauteng? First of all, let's start there. I mean, who said he's coming to Gauteng, and where did the story come from? Something that I've also realized, managers sometimes start throwing names around because they want to create the vibe around the player, the hype, where you can get the good number for them.
No,
agents also.
But the thing is that John Committee spoke to Andile, I think it's last year or so, where he said the price tag is very clear. Anyone who wants him is available for 37 million.
Yes.
So that was it. But the thing is that he's the kind of a guy who did well for the past 2 seasons, scoring, being a top goal scorer for Cape Town City. But you look, as you said, there was a time where Cape Town City went for 9 matches without even winning a single game, and he was not scoring. So you ask yourself, it's not easy for a team to just sign you like that and feels like you're going to improve them, because we've seen players like Reynolds when he joined SuperSport coming from Cape Town. He really struggled, but he went back to Cape Town. Now he's doing well. Even Ashley Dupree, one will say, was a better player at Stellenbosch than who he is at Kaizer Chiefs. So it could be those big Gauteng teams, they didn't feel that, okay, is a solution to. Even me, I mean, I saw him when he was given a chance in Bafana Bafana. Even the Bafana Bafana coach was not convinced that Mayo can be a solid solution for Bafana Bafana in terms of scoring goals. We wish him well wherever he's going.
I must say, I'm excited about the new trend in football where South African players are looking
across Africa.
Across Africa, yes. And the reality is, I think the allure of the African Champions League has changed. Growing up, when we played, nobody dreamt of playing in the African Champions League. You dreamt of playing in the UEFA because that's what we exposed to. The UEFA was the glitz and the glam.
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle that everyone strived for. But now it seems like players are looking at the African Champions League, and it's something, they want to play in. So maybe you're at a Skukune and your team's not necessarily going to play Champions League, but you've got a taste of Confed Cup with Skukune. Now you go to ES Tunis because you're going to be playing Champions League. But the allure of playing in the Champions League has really become that much better because the profile of the African Champions, the CAF Champions League has increased exponentially. And so it's a good thing that players are looking at going to top teams in Africa, and I think it's something that's going to improve our football when we have more players from playing in different parts of the continent. I think it'll improve Bafana honestly. So I love this new trend where even South African players are being sought after by the African giants. It's a really good thing, and I hope it continues. And the same way we bring in quality players from all over the country, why can't our quality players also go to top teams around the continent? So it's a good thing, and I'm congratulations to Mokwana. He's one of my favorite players in the league last season. I think he's exceptional. I think he'll do really well, and I wish him all the best.
Aseko Tiwana joins Mamelodi Sundowns. That move?
Yeah, that one for me was a bit strange. And why it's strange for me is, I guess it's an experience thing, and Tiwana's got experience playing at the top level now. But there's some quality waiting in the wings already at Sundowns.
Yeah.
When you look at their academy even, there's a young man playing at left back. He was part of the Engine team. Obviously, I think he's part of the DDC team as well. I think he's exceptional. And they roughly around the same age. So obviously Tiwana comes with experience because he's already experienced the top flight football. But you've got budding talent in your academy. So where does that place him now? Does that player in the academy who felt maybe he's close to the first team, that puts him that much further away from the first team? I also thought it a strange one initially, but maybe, his performances in the league is what warranted a call to the top team in the country.
And the strange thing also about it is 18 years, and if you look at that, why Sundowns are not promoting their own players from their own development? If you look at SuperSport, they've seen a lot of players, even them forgetting from. They are not scared of promoting players, but why Sundowns? Who's the player in the last 5 years that we've seen coming from Sundowns development that is in the team now? No one. Because even if you look at Sriyabonga Mapena, it's not really from their development. So for me, I feel like it seems they are rejecting promoting their own players. They are in a business of just signing players, irrespective. As long as you're talented from anywhere, they've forgotten promoting players in-house, of which again, I don't know, because they've got one of the best development in South Africa. They invested heavily in their youth development, but it seems like they don't have confidence in what they're developing, that we can develop someone who can be part of our team. So that's what I faulted Rulane for, that he never even gave a single player who was from their development when he was appointed as a coach. Yeah. Now it looks like it's going to continue if you're signing players like him. They don't believe in the players from that development. Signing Kika and Johannes from SuperSport United, it just shows you that way that some of these players, we've got players like Mdao's already, Bafana starter. Instead of developing players who are going to learn to Mdao or learn from Oprimo Diba as a left back or learn from Kekane, they keep on signing players from within the teams. You don't know what they're doing with that. It's clear when Sundowns immediately Mtsepe took over. They used to call Mamelodi Sundowns, not Sundowns. It means they are continuing with the trend of signing. It's Sundowns. They have to sign. They keep on signing.
Isn't it, Piso?
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think for him, for the player himself, he'll be looking at it as an opportunity to, at his young age, to go and probably give himself a chance to get a look in for Bafana and stuff like that. But the problem is, you're going to a Sundowns, like Mark said, that has a gulf of quality already waiting in the wings. It'll probably be by mid-season, you'll see him probably getting loaned out or something like that, because that's another thing that Sundowns do. They'll sign players and eventually they get loaned out to other teams. So maybe that's the vision behind it, that they're signing him for the future, probably loan him out for now, let him get experience, but still in their books, so that when an Oprimo Diba probably moves on at some point, they have someone in the wings that is a talented left back. I mean, he played 13 games in the league last season. I think he scored 2 goals. So he's a defender that has an eye for goal, at his young age. So there's quality there. It's just a little strange when you think of the quality that Sundowns already has. But like I'm saying, probably just a player that they'll probably loan out as the season goes.
You said Bongani Sam went to Turkey. You're not sure if he signed yet or not. There's a story about Fawaz Pasadine, a player that is now been linked to the AmaZulu to be one of the players that's coming in. He was one of the best assists when you talk about Stellenbosch Football Club. True. Set piece specialist as well amongst those. Would he be a good signing for the AmaZulu? I believe so.
Yeah, quality signing. I mean, if they do get him, he would be a quality signing for sure. He's a player that is very versatile down that left wing. I mean, he plays as a left back right now at Stellenbosch, but he's a player that can play in those forward positions. So if you're a team that, for instance, if Napi wants to play the full backs, attacking as much as they can, like you're saying, he's a player that can assist as much as he can. I think the only problem for them right now is Stellenbosch and the Cape Town Spurs at the moment. I think they are very serious about the fact that their players are highly priced. You have to pay a lot of money if you want to price them away from them. So I think that's where the issue might be.
From the player's perspective as well, he's going to play Champions or CAF Confed Cup.
If he stays at Stellenbosch.
I thought you were saying if he goes to Chiefs, he's going to play Champions League.
I'm saying for the player, he might want to stay. He just signed a new deal last year to stay. He extended his stay at Stellis. So yes, I mean, if Chiefs want him, they're going to really have to break the bank to get him. But from the player's perspective, he came up to Joburg. It wasn't that successful. He was, he's gone back to Cape Town. Does he really want to come back to Joburg again when the team is currently in his set? He's knocking on the door of Bafana as well. And he gets the opportunity to play continental football with his club. I think all those things will probably keep him. He probably, as an individual, would want to stay in Cape Town and continue in the vein that he's been going.
Tell you one thing, the coach did say in a press conference that he's been promised that he'll try and keep all the players there, the likes of Dino van Rooyen also been touted and wanted. Let's go now to the MTN8 that is taking place tomorrow. The first game is between Orlando Pirates and SuperSport United. Kickoff is 6 p.m. But half past five, the build-up will be on SABC 1, SABC Plus. You need to get the app for you. It's free. Just get the app and be able to experience all the drama and everything that's got to do with football from an SABC point of view. Orlando Pirates against SuperSport United, your predictions?
Oh, I expect Pirates to beat SuperSport. I mean, I know it's gonna be two legs, right?
No, it's only one leg. It's a
I don't know. Okay.
Semi-finalist.
Okay, Pirates are going to the semi-final.
Mark?
I'd also have to make Pirates the favorites. I think their squad is more set. When you look at in terms of continuity, they definitely, I think, have a lot more continuity than SuperSport, and for that reason, probably I'd make them favorites.
Biso?
Yeah, I think SuperSport have made some interesting signings in this window, but the Orlando Pirates squad has been together for a lot longer, so the synergy is a lot better. So for that reason, I think Orlando Pirates would get through that.
Something interesting also last season, Orlando Pirates against SuperSport United. SuperSport did well against the Buccaneers. Last 5 meetings, Pirates have only won 1 match. SuperSport have won 2 drawn matches in between. Let's now go to WhatsApp line.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303. Waking up, I'm too turned up.
Hey Brian, thanks man for standing in for Andile. Brian, I'm totally agree with Nadim. The thing of co-coaches doesn't work, man. That coach for Malumo was right to go away because the blame was gonna be on his shoulder because he's a senior coach. He can coach on his own. Why they bring the co-coach to work alongside with him? And also Dan Malisela, people also they recommend or they highly recommended him as a good coach, but I haven't seen much from him. Maybe those type of playing, but he doesn't produce results. This is Mike from Cape Town. Thanks, Brian, for the show.
Good evening, Metro. Kaizer Chiefs. You know, I was saying this to my friend not so long ago that, you know, the Kaizer Chiefs legends that were playing against Bloemfontein Celtic is the actual material that Kaizer Chiefs needs right now. Those guys can perform way better than the current team that we're having. Way, way better. I bet Brandwalu can do a better job than all the goalkeepers that you're currently having. Sereno can defend way better than all those players that we're having. Litsulonyane, Shaba, you name them. They can do way, way better. Not these Chiefs that you're having. Well, to be honest, we are just hoping and hoping and hoping, but then honestly, nothing. So far, there's nothing good that's coming out of it.
I'll get a reaction.
Anyway, it's Pablo here in Pretoria.
We'll
nice
go there.
show, gents.
Pablo, Siabegezel. Let's go to Surprise. He's coming from Witbank. Surprise, quickly before we wrap things up, I think we've just lost Surprise on the line there. So, really, let's talk about this. I mean, he's saying that Chiefs, there's nothing happening. Brambalu could actually be a better fit at the moment. Siabegezel, it's just patience.
I think it's frustration, obviously. The current team, they're much younger, much stronger, much quicker. So, but it's frustration that they are feeling because Chiefs have been struggling. It has never happened before where you see Kaizer Chiefs going for like 9 years without a trophy in the history of the team since it was formed in 1970. It's actually really, really painful for Makosi fans.
Let's go to the WhatsApp.
Like you.
Hi,
yes, like me.
Hi, Nadim.
Sure.
Cassius Mailula, where does he come from? Development.
No, I said in the current Sundowns
Mabena,
team.
where does he come from? From development.